Good evening, everybody. I am going to call to order the public work session.
Thank you, board members. Our work session this evening is to share with you a request for us to consider a delayed start and the continued use of our e-learning days. So as we've been looking at planning for next year and evaluating how days were used and the way that we accomplished the teacher work that needed to be accomplished this year, we had a conversation.
You might hold the mic. There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we had a meeting with our guiding coalition for the district and had some preliminary conversations. And then this last Wednesday at our all-district principal meeting, we spent a good deal of time talking about what's the work that needs to be accomplished in this coming year to continue our professional learning communities work and continue our work on academic standards, the assessments, learning targets, all of the work that we've been engaged in. In those conversations, we asked principals in small groups to have conversation and then share out. And in the document that you have there in front of you that says delayed start and e-learning rationale, the top section that says focus and the work that needs to be done, those are directly copied and pasted from the comments that the principals made in that conversation and put into the common document that we're working from. So as you can see here, the principals were saying that we need to continue to make sure that we have uninterrupted blocks of time for work at the secondary level. The way our schedule works right now, that time is available at our elementary buildings, but we still have not had that been able to be consistently provided at the secondary level. So to work on that, we need to make sure that there's time at the middle schools, and we did implement this year the early release time at the end of the high school, but as will be shared with you when the high school people come up, they had difficulty with that because too many students needed interventions at the end of the day, and the number of students simply didn't leave consistently for that work to be accomplished. There needs to be time for teachers to meet within and across subject areas. We need to move past some of the what work that we've been doing about essential standards into the how and concentrating on good instruction. Continue to build common understanding of the PLC process, and this is most important as we continue to have new teachers come into the district. Clearly monitor data from summative and formative assessments at the building level, so when they do things on a weekly or every few days basis to assess where students are versus maybe something that's done at the end of a unit or the end of a quarter or the final exam, more consistently looking at how students are doing on those learning targets, and then balancing the work and the direction from the district guiding coalition about the work overall with the work that needs to be done at the building level. So taking all of those things into consideration, we then had a conversation with all of the principals about how do we do this? If this is the work that needs to be done, how do we do it? And so based on that, we would be proposing these two solutions, which are things that we have been doing to some degree, but now would do, especially in the case of the delayed start, a little more broadly. So the first one, letter A there, is for us to continue to use our e-learning days as asynchronous learning, e-learning days. So as you'll remember, this year, the law went into effect that only allows us to have 3 asynchronous learning days, meaning that teachers put materials into the learning management system, either Seesaw at the elementary level or Canvas at the secondary level, and students can work on it at any time during the course of the day. Synchronous learning would mean that we have particular times that students have to log on and partake in the lesson. And so with the asynchronous learning limit of 3 days, what we are seeking is a waiver that would allow us to continue to do asynchronous learning on those e-learning days. And we could use our status within the consortium or the Coalition of Continuous Improvement Schools, the CCISD, for us to be able to do that work. And so that would give us a total of 9 asynchronous days, 3 available if there were weather or other emergency situations, and then the 6th that would be used for the e-learning and parent-teacher conferences. The second piece is to expand the use of our late start Mondays to all of our secondary buildings. Currently, if you'll recall to the beginning of last year, we did a late start here at the freshman division, and then we also did the early release time at the main high school campus and really did not provide any accommodation for that planning time at the middle school. Based on what we've seen from the freshman division, and Dr. Adams will share some things with you in a little bit regarding that, we will have the ability to do that both at the middle school level and across the entire high school level so that we can do that. And as you see there, based on the calculations like we shared last year, we have more than enough time in minutes and days to be able to do that. So we can easily delay, like the freshman division did, our middle schools and our high schools an hour. So I wanted to share with you the rationale and where this came from and a summary of what we would be looking to do. And then I really want to leave it to the building principals that would be doing this work and would be impacted by this to come and share their perspective about why this arrangement is so important. So before I would call them up to share with you, are there any questions about what I've proposed so far that I can clarify?
Or under B, why does it say lunch and recess if this is for secondary?
Just if it's lunch or, well, not recess, but lunchtime would come out of it. So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't know they had recess on secondary.
No, they
Maybe
don't have
something-
second,
maybe
they don't have
something-
recess.
Could be new.
No,
Okay.
no,
It's a
you'll
code
notice
word.
that it's just a half hour, but if you have any lunch or recess time or any kind of breaks in the day, that comes out of it. So for us, that's just a half hour because of lunchtime. So,
Thank you.
okay. Any other questions that I can ask before I have the building leaders come up? All right, at this point, I will hand it over to Geneva. You want to come first?
I just want to make sure all the board members, it's harder to hear, so please speak right into the microphone. Please, and thank you.
Might get taller than me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I did print out a document to give you guys some type of my bullets there. So why do we need this in the secondary for all secondary schools for the Monday delayed start? To help all students achieve at grade level or higher, which is accomplished only with professionals engaged in collaboration, focused on the right work. We need uninterrupted teacher collaboration time during the contractual school day. Accountability demands that districts who ask educators to work in collaborative teams provide those educators with the time to meet during the contractual day. This would give us that opportunity to do so. Current schedule does not allow for the schools to actually do a combination of content team collaboration and interdisciplinary content team collaboration time. So what the goal is to the best secondary schools utilize both content collaboration time to focus on and improve academic achievement of all students. So they do a combination of interdisciplinary team time and content team time. So currently we have in our schedule, in the master schedule for interdisciplinary time, but we cannot fit in their content team time as well due to all of the different contents that are there.
Can you explain the difference between the content and interdisciplinary time?
Yes,
Please.
so content is, so if you have all of your social studies, teachers that teach US history, they're all meeting together, that's the content team time. And then interdisciplinary would be, you have your math, you have social studies, you have English, you have science, all of them meeting together to address different options or different information. So that's what interdisciplinary is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this would allow time for content teams to meet and collaborate in regards to instructional strategies, common formative assessments, and assist our students in their understanding and their standards by developing interventions. With the Monday delayed start time, the freshman division content teams have been able to effectively collaborate regarding instructional strategies, create and modify common formative assessments to assist students in their understanding of their standards, have responsible teachers intervening when and if needed to assist students in obtaining proficiency at grade level or higher in regards to student achievement. This time has assisted us this year in our meeting our school improvement benchmarks. So comparing last year's data, because we only got 2 years going on, but last year we did not have any content team time at all. And so we had 73% of our freshman students on track for graduation. And this year, so far, we're at 82% with our students on track for graduation, looking at obtaining 11 credits or more to be on track for graduation. So we are making, that's a 9% increase in a matter of a year, just with the collaboration time being there. There will be no loss to instructional time, and there is still time allotted for interventions with this schedule. So in the end of the day, they have advisory, we have impact class, but that is going to be the opportunity for them to actually implement their tier 2 interventions that is addressing your critical question number 3 on how do we respond when students don't learn. That is the opportunity that we would have instead of them just having kind of a hit and miss opportunity because they're subbing or they're trying to cover or trying to make sure that there is coverage for students that didn't leave for the early release piece for the high school, just not having that consistency of time at the middle school level because it's just so much going on. So with the lack of teachers and covering, so they're not able to meet and actually have that uninterrupted time. So if you have any questions, I'm going to yield the floor over to Carrie and Frank after that. But
Yes. Okay, you have freshman data here. Okay, what does the current high school data look like?
So I don't have the current high school data currently. I did not pull that piece. I was just pulling what the difference has been for the freshman division from not having that content time to having that content time this year. They don't currently have a consistent content time to actually implement that piece. So I would say it's probably not, I don't know where it's at. I can't say by the numbers. I didn't look at that piece.
Where I was going with that is, moving forward into this, you need a baseline for your high school also. So, I don't know what the number is right now. I'm sure the gentleman and the staff out here knows. And then also for the freshman division, okay, you're 9% is what I'm seeing right here. Congratulations, good job.
Thank
well
you.
done. Now, I need to know, and I think the board needs to know is, okay, each sequential year after that, what is your goal and your target to get to 100? Now, I realize you're not going to do that overnight. Okay, so in the next 4 or 5 years, okay, what's your incremental goal to say, hey, this is what we're going to hit, so that the school corporation and also the board knows that you're moving forward to a set point in time. Okay, because without that set point in time, we won't know where we're going. Does that make sense?
Yes, so the school improvement plan for Elkhart High School as a whole is 100% of that graduation rate. And so we're working towards that. A realistic piece, we don't really, years past, we still have never, 82% is amazing for freshman students to be on track for graduation. That is not something that is taken lightly, I will say. For us to grow 9% in less than a full 2 years, that is saying a lot. Our goal is to get to 90% this year. We may not get there, but we are striving. We're getting pretty close. But our goal is this year is to get to 90%, and then we get that 90%, we'll move forward and keep increasing that.
Can we hold you to that goal?
Hey, I'm working hard. I'm working hard to it. Hey, and so we're working at it. So
okay, I will take 90% as your goal for next year. I want you to come back to us and say, hey, you made 91 or 92.
That would be great. It would be awesome to have.
Yes.
Any other questions for me? If not, I yield the floor over to Carrie and Frank.
Good evening. Thanks for letting us come. I've got Cindy Bonner, Director of Inclusion, Latasha Bonds, Principal of Human Services, and Frank Kurth, our Vice Principal here. So to yin and yang, back and forth, ping and pong, as we shall see. So at the high school main campus we're talking about this year, 2 years ago, we ended the day at 4 o'clock. This year, we ended the day at 3:45. If you remember, we've made some tweaks. The 4 o'clock time was an awful long day. the longest high school day in the state of Indiana. Even at 3:45, we definitely still have a longer high school day. And so what we were lacking at the main campus of the schedule, and of course we have the career center aspect that we've had to figure out also with this, is that we did not have any dedicated time whatsoever for the high school campus. The kids were there at pretty much the same time the staff is there, like the contract day for staff, pretty much the same as the student day, because the student day was so long. And so what we hope this proposal will do, and we're very excited for this, is that if we have the late arrivals on Monday, our staff at the main campus will finally be able to meet together without students down on campus to focus on that. Because the best thing that we could have done this year, we tried to have, and this is what we did last year, the hope was to try to get 50% of the kids at the end of the day to leave, so 50% of our staff could meet together and collaborate. And that was content time, math teachers across the schools of study could meet, or the school of study teachers, the 6 schools of study, could collaborate on project-based learning, different skills that we needed to build out with our students, literacy, PBL, SIOP, all those different things. So so this year, when we bumped it to 3:45, bumped it back, which was a really good decision. Thank you for allowing us to do that. We didn't see as many kids leave. I think because that was going from 45 minutes to 30 minutes, they were just staying. Of course, at the high school campus, we don't have a lot of walkers. We don't have a lot of students that drive. The vast majority of our students ride a bus. And so the kids were staying on campus. So it was difficult. So what we tried to do, if you remember, we allowed kids to leave at 3:11 if they met certain requirements. We put dots on their IDs, so those kids that were passing all their classes could leave early. And so again, the hope was we'd have 50% of our kids leave, so 50% of our staff could collaborate with each other on student data, on skills, working on content, essential standards. And so it was messy. You guys probably have been around. You guys have probably heard we've had 2 dismissals at 3:11, and then of course the final bell's at 3:45. And that's when the kids go out to the buses. And so we've had a lot of obstacles. Of course, staffing's been an obstacle. Teachers are subbing for each other. And we've had lots of, I'll go back to obstacles in our day to try to have our teachers meet together in teams. And so we are very, very excited for the opportunity, hopefully, to have a delayed start on Monday. So our teachers, and primarily would be focused especially early on content. We have a lot of work to do with content. Our content area specialists, and we're talking math, can meet with math to develop their common form of assessments, develop their common summative assessments, look at student data to make sure our geometry, our algebra 2, our English 10, our chemistry results across our school of study are improving. We don't have that opportunity now for our teachers to meet whatsoever really within our school day in any organized fashion, because students are always on campus at the time. We have to supervise our students. So the majority of that time, like I said in the other handout I have for the School of Study campus, the majority of that time would be working on PLC questions 1 and 2. What do we want students to learn? And then how do we know if they learned it, right? If they got what we needed them to understand. So that's essential standards. And I talked about the common formative assessments, common summative assessments, think final assessments for that. Reviewing and tracking student data. We really, again, just don't have time at the School of Study campus to have these conversations. So that would allow that for happen. Then for staff meetings, the School of Study campus, we don't have staff meetings. We don't have time in the day to get our staff together to talk about good practices, effective teaching practices, sharing data, school improvement plan work, culture, as this is of course the 2nd year of the Schools of Study. We could meet with all the staff or just with the School of Study staff. That's something like Mrs. Bonds would have the opportunity to meet with her human services staff at the same time, because we don't have that really right now at all because we have students on campus at that time. Freshman division, I've been over here several times. Dr. Adams, we'll meet with the staff and then they break out. Like the staff meetings aren't 50 minutes long. That's too long. You have a short meeting, you get what you need to do, get an action step, and then the teachers go work on in teams and groups over what we need to work on. And that happens a lot at the freshman division. No advisory period. So on Mondays, we wouldn't have advisory period because all that time that we given in the morning would go back into the classrooms. So then no early dismissal, so school day would end for all students at 3:45. That's what we do now on Mondays. So then, of course, we can't have a schedule until buses, we know what time buses are going to come from the transportation department to have an exact schedule for Mondays. So moving then for Tuesday through Friday. So what we would start to incorporate then, because since we have the built-in content time on Monday mornings, we would be able to have prep periods and have all the teachers that have prep period. Like, so again, Mrs. Bonds is up here. So the second period teachers 1 day a week, because that would be the cross collaboration, the cross-curricular piece. So we'd have the social studies, the science, the language arts, a facts teacher having prep period at the same time. So those teachers then would be able to collaborate as schools to study together on the themes, project-based learning, what they're seeing with their students, talk about their own students because they share their students. And so we'd have that built in 1 day a week during the prep time. And then we would still have advisory period from 3:11 to 3:45, as we do now. Here, the kicker and the big change for us is to not have a 3:11 dismissal and a 3:45 dismissal. We have not had the opportunity for a long time to really work with a schedule that would allow tier 2 and tier 3 intervention and then enrichment. And so this would allow our kiddos that need extra help in all of the curricular areas, especially math and language arts, SAT based. Think all the tests that we have to do, right? Our accountability tests. They would be able to, now our teachers would have kids in front of them and be able to work with those kids. So that there is no collaboration going on at that time period. And so the students would stay until 3:45. It removes, like I said, the obstacles for what we have, all the stuff that comes with a 3:11 dismissal. Kids are everywhere on the campus. We would not have that anymore. Clubs would still occur during that time, and that would also be the important piece where the Olveus anti-bullying meetings, the class meetings would happen. Every couple of weeks we're having these class meetings. That's where this would happen as well. And so that would be the plan at the Schools of Study campus, how we would use that time.
Question.
Yep.
On the Tuesday through Friday, so is it your intention, as far as kind of a schedule, since there's a lot going on from a student-focused area, that in effect, for example, clubs would meet on a specific day every week.
It would be
during that
scheduled.
time,
Mhm.
and then different things would happen, so it becomes routine.
Yes, typically in all the effective like school schedules, like the intervention, especially the intervention piece
Right.
would trump
Sure.
that. So we would have clubs. We have lots of clubs at the high school.
Exactly.
Right. So we would have multiple clubs, more than likely on multiple days scheduled. And then the students would be here and they would go to clubs. And if they needed intervention, they would stay in the classroom.
Okay.
So are these your agenda items, the Tuesday through Friday?
Those are the agenda items that we would have not to say off the cuff, but these agenda items would be definitely priority items for these meetings, yes.
And how much of a time period is that? How many minutes? Or
Which day
whatever?
are you talking about?
Tuesday through Friday.
Prep periods are 85 to 90 minutes long. And so one time a week, the teachers, now it doesn't mean it would possibly always be 90 minutes collaborating. Maybe they only needed 45 minutes that day to do X, Y, Z, whatever the agenda item or the actions that they needed to do. And then they would go back and have their teacher time.
Okay. Is there ever any results of the meeting or minutes of the meetings done for these?
Yes. So, Mrs. Bonds, you want to talk about that? What you see from your teams?
Are they posted here? Hang on just a second. Are they posted anywhere?
Usually with the School of Study principals, yes.
Okay. And also with this right here, okay, we're trying to increase the graduation rates and a whole bunch of other steps along the way that contribute to a good graduation rate. Okay, so what is your goals by doing this? What is your target? How soon are you going to get there? Do we know those?
Well, there's a lot that you just said right there. So
I agree it's a lot. I mean,
yeah,
it's not-
so we push really hard for our students individually, right, to be prepared.
Sure.
And so again, with SAT now being the accountability, and the state always is making changes, right? Hate to call them hoops, but they're all different buckets that kids can graduate in, right?
Mm-hmm.
SAT is going to be really important because they are removing some of the other opportunities that vast number of students in Indiana use to check some of our boxes. So we'll have to have, and we need to have a renewed focus on the SAT part of that. So I think that the rigor that goes in the SAT will be very important for us, and that's math and language arts.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be, as it should be, a focus for us.
So you don't seem too optimistic that our graduation rates are going to increase anytime soon?
Well, I'm very
You're
proud of
going
where
to
our
the-
graduation
No,
rate
I know
is.
you're proud of it. I didn't say that. What I said was that because of the change in going to the SAT, which might be more rigorous, okay, our graduation rate may slip.
It's definitely possible.
All right.
Any time of, I think, change, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. There's usually like, you got to catch up real quick then. And sometimes that does take a couple years. But we don't leave any stone unturned for our kids.
Okay, and what was our graduation rate last year?
93.
In 93, what's it going to be this year?
Over 90, we hope. But
Right.
We're not there yet. There's
If
still
you're gonna talk, please come to the microphone.
a quick side note. This week, I heard that the pandemic is officially over. For us, it is not, I guarantee you. As we look at the boxes we have to check, box 1 are the credits, the 40 credits. And that's what we use, that's what Geneva's using to track on time for graduation. It's how we measure incoming sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I will tell you, going into this year, for the first time, we had 2 of the 3 classes coming into our 3-year building that were under 80%. And I directly attribute that to the pandemic. Our seniors were at 84% on track to graduate, juniors were 79%, and sophomores were just a shy away from 78%. So we knew we had work to do catching up on credits. But credits is not our only concern. We've got to find that box 3. We're creative with what we do with box 2, our service to the community and sports-based and team-based and all those different things. We're going to get them their box 2 reflection form. That's not going to be a problem for us. It's the box 3 that is a challenge. And as they change the inters from inters 3 and 4 to inters 5, and inters 5 drops away next year. So our CTE is all changing too. So in the last 5 years, there have been 5 consistent changes within how we graduate our kids. I wish it was as easy as tracking credits like we do with box 1. We know if we can get them to 90% as freshmen, we got a better chance. But we're really digging deep now to find those pathways for them to get that box 3 as well. Because if they don't get that box 3, they don't graduate. And so that is our challenge. So as we look to put all this together and the SAT, because we're worried about the ASVAB falling away, the state's going to take it away, it looks like, which is an easier test because it's more broad-based, where, you know, the SAT is math and language arts. And so as we look at how we're going to get that box 3, that's what we have got to go to work on and focus on. And we think this content piece can really help us as far as giving our kids the remediation that they need to get ready for it.
They can't help. They're all happy. They're just happy. It's all right. They're happy out there. We can work through it.
Thank you, Frank.
Don't close the door on them. It's nice to hear them. I have a question. When do we, and Lindsay, this is for you too, when do we begin to really do an analysis on if we, and I know I'm a broken record, if we have the start and end time right? Like, when do we start to really think about bringing our high school students back early in the morning and ending early, not just for athletics and music, but also for what some of our families' needs are? I mean, and then putting the end of the day where our teachers are back. Like, I mean, that seems to be much more important than trying to continue on 15 minutes here or 10 minutes here at the end of the day. I mean, clearly the end of the day isn't working for our high school students. And the data has proven that allowing children to start early at an older age is not effective. It's just confusing them more. And they stay up later, actually, and they are starting to lose the rigor of what they need to get ready to prepare for adulthood, whether it's a job or whatsoever. So, you know, having them start so late is proving to be not in the best interest of our high school students.
you're not going to get an argument from the high school staff.
I'm ready. Like,
On-
what do we need to
well-
do? Like, I just feel like we need to really like dig deeper instead of coming to us with a policy when everybody's saying it across the board at all secondary levels,
Well, and
even the
I would say like the
elementary.
plans we're trying to do
Yeah.
are within those ramifications, right? Because
Yeah.
I can only control what we can
Right,
control.
right, I know.
And so we know that, we all knew even when there might have been some wins for the morning. Like my little 8-year-old gets up great. He's ready to
Right,
go to
right.
school, all that works for him. But kids who work, like that, those are always the challenges.
Right.
Athletics, music, kids that work, taking care of family obligations. We all knew that was a
Right,
concern.
right. And I know that we talked about the fact that if we had some kids that just weren't making it to school, so we thought if they started later, they would come to school. But I wonder if we did this study, are these still the same kids that we're chasing down in the morning that Will and Tracy are going after to see why they're not at school? Then really, we've changed 80% of the needs for 20% of the students that are still performing of why we changed it. I'm just throwing numbers out there. I have no idea what the data is. But, I mean, instead of tweaking this, why aren't we digging deeper into really looking at what the need is for the future of our school and busing? How much that would, going back to, and transportation's not here, so sorry, transportation, but going back to loop buses, that things that actually worked. I mean, we keep reinventing the wheel instead of going back to what was working for us before. Okay, that's just it. So we can
And
go from
Karen, we
there.
know you're not the person to answer, but this
Well-
is still a concern that we have.
But
Get that.
he's the one to begin the conversations about that, though. So it needs to be out there. So thank you. You guys can do
If you
that.
went back to an early high school start, okay, can you still do this?
Well, we would ask, what really worked well, Memorial Central days, right? We had an early dismissal,
Right,
right?
right.
And we also lost, at the same time, we had 90 extra minutes a month that we extended the day. We did that for years and years. Though that was all removed, both those things were removed at the same time for high school. That was rough. It was rough. And so forget about the 90 extra minutes, because I think we can do the work, but we had Wednesdays, right? If you remember, we had that early dismissal, we would ask for that.
So who removed them?
That was just in this switch in the
I'm
time.
gonna switch in the time.
Okay,
And so that's what happened with that.
okay, because
And it was
the,
supposed to be temporary to see if it was actually effective, and we found out that it isn't. So,
When you guys look at the bell times, is it, who is part of that conversation?
It's always been a district team. And that has been for people who've been around a long time, that has been a long time conversation, many years.
So,
kids,
well, and now
So when we had the conversations about the bell schedule and determining what to do, this auditorium was full of athletic directors, middle school principals, elementary principals. We had everybody in on the conversation to determine the current bell schedule that we're operating under. So
But-
it was not me
no,
unilaterally doing
no.
that. It was
What-
not district.
What we're getting at is, when is the last time it was reviewed, and can we take a look at it again?
Well, one of the main factors is the schedule that we looked at, trying to keep the high school like it was. Elementary students would be going much later into the day. And one of the things that we kept hearing from elementary folks was that the day was already too long for elementary, and it would have extended the elementary day longer based on the way that we would need to do transportation.
But I think we can look at that differently.
Yeah, is it an opportunity for us just to come back to the table and see what the options are?
Because the big thing too to think about is, when you look at the programs and the pathways, and now that we have School of Studies, and one of them is Arts and Communication. Arts and Communication has a music component attached to it. If we do not do something, as the sixth grade the music program begins to disappear in the sixth grade, that ultimately affects a pathway that is doing beautifully. We just experienced what our musicians could do at the state level right now. But how do we continue to build that if the sixth graders are dropping out because they're missing specials, the busing is off, they're losing interest, then that changes everything from there. So, I mean, it really was an experiment as far as I'm concerned. And Dr. Shepard did even say himself.
It was not Dr. Shepard's fault. that we
It
did
wasn't.
this.
No.
Well, that's the
I would not.
implication.
Dr. Shepard even said that looking at it now, it is something that we could relook at. No, he is very wise. I would not disrespect him at that level, Steve, so you don't need to worry about that. I'm just saying that it was something that was thought to be great, but looked at later on and reviewed, needed to be tweaked again. And that is not a slam on him. That was him even saying it could be tweaked again or looked at.
Well, it can be looked at, but one of the things that will happen is that we will be looking at going back to a long elementary day, in which when you get with a longer elementary day, then you begin to have more behavior problems and all of those things that happen later in that afternoon, that we can do that. And the other question is, do you revisit that bell schedule and make changes now and then turn around and change it all again in the fall of '24 if you're looking at doing something relative to the feasibility study and things that are coming out of there? So our position has always been that while this was all happening and planning were happening, that we'd stay the status quo and try to find ways to make this work before that major change may come in fall of '24.
But I mean,
So
I think
for-
that if you put it at the table right now and begin to discuss it now, instead of waiting until 2024, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
have a whiteboard that allows you to start piecing that together, much like during the time that our school was closed for too long during the pandemic, we should have been looking ahead at different things. So like, we should be ahead of the game. So we know it's something that we need to look at. So we should have a team that's looking at it now instead of waiting until a feasibility study is done and 2024 hits. So we should be like already moving ahead at having conversations about it.
Well, there were 3 or 4 different scenarios that we looked at that time. And this is, I mean, honestly, as we've kind of said regarding the pandemic and some of the things that were happening, is you kind of have to land on the least bad. And so this was the least bad. So all of those options are still there for consideration. The question is, how are things going to look and what tiering will need to happen because of what may happen with buildings and grade configurations and those kind of things.
So for the sake of time, we're going to move on. I think what Kelly is trying to say is it doesn't hurt to explore the options now, so we have a foundation when and if we get to that point in the feasibility study, we know what some of these options look like. By no means are we saying make a decision, but you can start talking through some of the opportunities.
And I would say those options are all there. I mean, various options for how to arrange the day are there. We just need to know which direction it's going to go for people to know which one of those options to maybe follow.
Okay,
Based on grade configurations and those kind of things.
let's move the discussion past the bell time so that they can finish their presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last piece we have is, oh, did you guys have something else to say?
I was going to sponsor.
Okay, sorry.
Mr. Weaver already talked about.
Hi, everyone. You were asking Mr. Weaver about the agendas and what we report out.
Can you
So-
introduce yourself? Because we have 2 new board members and they may not know who the team is.
Absolutely. I'm Latasha Bonds, the proud principal for the School of Human Services at Elkhart High School 1012 campus. And so to the agendas, so every meeting, every month, our teams are given what they are going to cover. How they cover it and what they do may look a little different, but they're told what we are going to look at, whether it's Tier 1 instructional strategies. Each team is responsible for sharing the agenda with the rest of the team, and then during the meeting, someone is responsible for taking notes and minutes. They share all of that with me as the principal. I meet with the team leads so that we can discuss where do I need to support them as we move forward with the work of trying to improve instruction.
Thank you.
Hey, Sarah. I know. That's what you want me to, you want to stand on my back?
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Jakoyak, the principal at Northside. I would like to reiterate a couple of the points that have already been made. One is the importance with the delayed start is the importance of that uninterrupted time. At the middle school level, we currently have our teachers report at 7:30 and our students enter the building at 8 every morning, and our first class starts at 8:15. From 8 to 8:15, students go to their lockers, many of them eat breakfast, go to the media center, take care of all those things that they need to take care of in the morning before school. So from 7:30 to 8, what we are currently doing is our PLC teams meet with their departments or with their content teams twice a week. The problem with that time space is it is not long enough to really have a meaningful conversation, and it just gets very discombobulated, to be very honest, that once they start a conversation and maybe they're working on a common assessment that morning, they can start that. They might get through developing 5 or 6 questions in those 30 minutes. They break because they need to go on supervision. Kids are coming in the building. 2 days later, they come back to that and try and pick up right where they left off. Again, they may get through a number of questions. It could take them 3, sometimes 4 of their PLC meetings because of the time of 30 minutes just to complete a common assessment. Sometimes it's the same issue when they have given those assessments and they're coming back and trying to look at student data. So that piece of just these small bite-sized chunks of time is really an issue. So being able to have that uninterrupted hour or more with our staff reporting at 7:30, we really could have an hour and a half of quality time for departments to talk, look at data, plan. Also with the change in the middle school schedule next year, where we're going from 7 to 6 periods and increasing the amount of our each class period by about 10 minutes, we are able to also go to 3 lunches here at Northside, or for Northside, we can go down to 3 lunches rather than having 4. And that will give us a building-wide advisory time, similar to what Mr. Anderson was speaking about, which will allow us, again, to put in those tier 2 and 3 interventions for students who are not growing at the rate that we want them to grow, that maybe are struggling with the standards that were just tested on whatever the most recent assessment was. And I am extremely excited about that because currently we have a 7th grade advisory and an 8th grade advisory. What happens is if I have a teacher that teaches both grades, such as a math teacher, that teacher has to kind of choose which grade they are going to work with during advisory. And it becomes very, very difficult logistically to get that teacher with those right kids that they need to see and work with for that time. Also, the delayed start would give the middle schools an opportunity once a month to meet at one of the middle schools so that across the board, all of the middle school math people could meet, all of the middle school science people could meet, and we can all be, let's just say they all come to Northside once a month on that Monday morning. It gives all of us as admin the opportunity to hold all of our people accountable for the work. It also gives us the opportunity to touch base as administrators and those teachers to do the work that needs to be done in between e-learning days. We also have discussed at the middle school level that on those e-learning days, we will again bring all of the middle school teachers to one building rather than having them divide up between the 3 based on where their content specialist was. And again, that will give us the ability to really hold our people accountable for the work, be involved in those conversations on a more consistent basis during those e-learning days. What other questions? I mean, this is just needed. I can't express enough how just disjointed PLC meetings are at the middle school level because of that 25 or 30-minute time in the morning.
How many PLC meetings are there a week, or is it weekly? Is it?
Right now, we hold them twice a week, and it ends up balancing out 55, 60 minutes. My teachers do not have a lot of prep time to meet. For one, our preps currently are only 47 minutes. This year, I have 14 teachers teaching overloads, which means about 10% of my staff or so, not a little more, do not have a prep time on a daily basis. They come in, kids enter the building at 8 o'clock, and at 8:15, they start teaching, and they do not end or stop teaching until 3:20 with the exception of their 30-minute lunch. So for us right now to try and say, oh, well, they can catch a quick conversation during a prep, no, that's not happening. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Just very quickly then to capture there at the timeline at the end. So the opportunity to present this idea to you this evening, then in order for us to be able to appeal to the consortium or the school consortium, we would need a resolution from the board. So similar to the one that you did last year for the 1003 waiver that we used for the asynchronous learning days, we would do a resolution that would capture both the e-learning asynchronous days and the delayed start, put all of that into one resolution that the board would pass on May 23rd. And then immediately I would turn around on May 24th and submit that application to the consortium for their consideration at their next meeting. I don't know when that next meeting would be, but at that point, basically by the time we put that together, and since we've requested it before in the same way, and they've approved this for other districts, that should not be an issue, and it would just be a formality of it being approved at that point. Because the consortium votes on itself, it doesn't require IDOE approval or anything like that. So.
Any concern going from 5 to 6 days? Are we currently 5 days?
Well, we are, and just we would put in the resolution because we also have an e-learning day for parent-teacher conferences, so for that to be asynchronous as well.
That's your, okay.
That's the 6th day, yeah. In the meantime, if there are any other questions or anything that we can clarify, and then I'll talk with the board president to clarify that we do want the resolution brought on the 23rd. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
This is on or not, but no, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda Fine. I'm a high school teacher at the 1012 campus. I'm all about the late start. I don't question the late start at all. What I question is the doing away with the 311 early release for those kids that are passing their classes. Right now, I mean, and I'm being selfish. For me, I teach dual credit seniors. Most of those kids are not going to need enrichment. If we look at data about enrichment, the best way to do enrichment is with small groups. If we do away with the 311, then I now have my class of 20 that will be with me all the time. And so that if I'm trying to do enrichment, it's going to be it could be difficult depending on the class, and not even just for me, but for like maybe the math teacher who's next door to me, who has sophomores, when she could have some of those kids who could leave because they qualify for passing all of their classes, now they have to stay. So instead of her being able to do true enrichment with a small group of 6 or 10, she now has all 25, 30 of her kids in her classroom. Part of the 311 was the fact if a kid had a job. When we moved the schedule from 2:40 to 4, those kids who had jobs couldn't go to work at 3, then they had to go to work at 4:30. Now this year we went back to 3:45. So maybe they could be at work at 4:30. And then those kids who were passing everything, who got done at 3:11, now have the opportunity. And we know in our economy in Elkhart County, kids, if they can work, they need to work. Now, instead of them being able to be at work at 3:30, 3:45, are going to be pushed back to 4:30 or even 5 o'clock again. And I really struggle with that. And until I am held accountable, because I am supposed to check my kids when they leave my classroom. I get the list. I know who's eligible to leave my classroom. And unfortunately, until I am truly held 100% accountable with that, you're going to have kids, we're going to have clubs. Okay. Hey, Mrs. Fine, I'm going to go over to the science club. And they never arrive. It's the same issue that we have right now with kids who leave and don't leave the building. I really, really struggle with doing away with the 311. I'm all about the late start. I think that's great. I think it's a disservice to us. I don't see anybody in any other school of study other than my school of study. And I love my school of study because I love my principal because she knows I do. but I don't get to see anybody else in my building. So having a late start, that's perfect. Gives us time to collaborate as a whole building. I get that. But doing away with the 311 as a parent, as a teacher, as a community member looking at the economy of our community, I think is a disservice. I just want to put that out there because I think we've rolled everything together. Everybody's talking about the wonderfulness of the late start. I don't think anybody's concerned about that. I think that's a great thing. But when we also put in that, okay, we're going to have this late start and now we're doing away at the 1012 campus, the 311 thing, we're missing the boat. And if the resolution has to go, if you need the resolution on the 23rd, where is the parent involvement, the parent conversation about what we're doing? Because we've switched what we're doing every year since we've had a combined high school. 4 o'clock, 3:45, 3:11. Now we're going to go back to 3:45. Parents rely on kids to help them at home. And I don't think just having the conversation today, when it wasn't really advertised that this is what was going to be discussed at the public work session, that we're not allowing parents and people in this community to have part of the conversation. And they're the people that elect you and pay my salary. And they pay everybody's salary. So I just want that thought in your heads as you guys move forward with this. I may be the only one, but I don't think I am. So.
Thank you.
Laura Stoffer, I am one of 4 world language teachers that is split between both the freshman division and the 1012 building. I personally see how beneficial that late start on Mondays is for PLC time. Teachers are just as bad as kids. When we get to 3:11 in the afternoon to do PLC meetings, we have no attention span left either. So having that time in the morning, we're much more effective in our PLC time, I think, in the morning than we are at the later afternoon. I love Linda, but I have to disagree with her on the releasing kids at 3:11. Because I'm a teacher that is split between both buildings, I never have the opportunity to remediate with students at the 1012 building because I'm in PLC meetings currently during advisory any day I am in that building, other than Mondays, which are no movement days. As a teacher of probably 60% sophomores at that building, I see that I have less kids that are able to leave at that 3:11 time. But when I do have a time that I need to say, hey, I need you to come make up this test, if I have kids that have that sticker that says they can leave at 3:11, I often get I leave early, I can't stay. My ride leaves at that time. I've got to get to practice. I've got to get to work. So not letting students out is going to keep them in the building, allowing us to do that remediation that a lot of us greatly need. So thanks.
Thank you. Is that it for the work session? Okay. Meeting adjourned. We'll take a short break, maybe a 5 or 10 minute break before the board meeting. I am calling to order the board meeting. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Every time I'm like, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Elkhart Promise. Every student is known by name, challenged and supported by highly effective staff, and in partnership with the community will graduate college, career, and life ready. So everybody has an opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. These forms are out in the front, or Dora has them up here at the desk. Fill out this form. You'll have 3 minutes at the end of the meeting. After each agenda item, you will have an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. So up first on the agenda, we have Kara. Oh, wait, did I skip something? Oh, okay. We have Kara and Sarah for a moment of pride and the instructional report.
Good evening. I am Kara Sears, and I teach at the 10 through 12 building, and I teach the education pathway at the 10 through 12 building. I think, yes, they did have a video that Dr. Higginson wanted us to watch, if we want to start with that.
Kind, inspiring. If I were to ask you what you like most about your favorite teacher's class, would you say, I love all of the different hands-on activities for students. I love how engaging and fun the class is. I like that my teacher helps me. I just like that my teacher is funny and makes learning not even seem like learning. Have you ever considered or have you ever thought about pursuing a future career in teaching? You are watching this video today because one of your teachers, maybe even your favorite teacher, has turned in your name as a student who would make an inspiring future teacher. As part of a grant that Elkhart Community Schools recently received from the Indiana Department of Education, you are personally being invited to take part in a 3-day workshop called Passion, Practice, and Pathways, a 3-part introduction to teaching. The purpose of this workshop is to introduce you to the field of education, provide you with some hands-on experiences of what it is like to be a teacher, and finally, give you the opportunity to visit a college campus and experience what it is like to be a college student. St. Mary's College, Goshen College, and Elkhart Community Schools have joined forces to help inspire, motivate, and encourage high school students like you to pursue careers in the field of education. During this 3-day workshop, you will first visit St. Mary's College or Goshen College for an entire day. You will tour the campuses, meet current students who are taking classes in education, attend a college class along with current education students, learn how to create a fun activity focused on reading or math, and finally, take this activity back to an elementary or a secondary classroom to do with elementary or secondary students. Don't worry, you will not be alone. The college students and university professors will work right alongside you the entire time, including when you go back to visit the elementary or secondary students. We will all work together to create an amazing experience that just might ignite that spark and encourage you to become a future teacher. You will also get to talk to current education students about their experiences in college.
Hello, my name is Amanda Tracy and I'm currently a junior here at St. Mary's College studying elementary education with minors in malintervention and early childhood education. For as long as I can remember, I've always been interested in pursuing a career in education. My main reason for this comes from my older brother. He was diagnosed with autism at a young age, and I quickly learned that I wanted to pursue a career that enabled me to make a positive and lasting impact on the lives of all students, no matter what disability or behavior they may procure. The St. Mary's College Education Department allows me to do just that. The professors are truly incredible. Not only are they teaching us content-specific area lessons, they also provide us the opportunity to grow professionally through professional development and other resources. The highlight of my experience thus far has to be my field work. Interacting with the students on a daily basis, collaborating with my clinical educators, teaching different lessons, and learning different curriculums and classroom management skills, I am quickly reminded of why I wanted to pursue a career in education in the first place. which is making a positive and lasting impact on the lives of all students. I am grateful for the St. Mary's College Education Department as it allows me to do just that.
Hello, my name is Kennedy Stewart. I am a freshman here at Goshen College studying elementary education with English language learners. So the reason I decided to become a teacher was because I never saw much diversity in the classrooms that I grew up in. It wasn't until my senior year that I found a teacher who was mixed, just like me, which is kind of insane. And I decided that I wanted to be a part of that change and go into teaching, even knowing what the field is now. I still want to be able to inspire kids such as I was inspired. One of the biggest reasons I decided to come to GC was because we get that hands-on experience and that opportunity, such as teach Elkhart County for students, for teachers who are promoting diversity and living in color. And then also the CCYC, which is like our on-care child care center, which gives me like a chance to work with the kids as well as our kindergarten lab. So I think Goshen's a great choice if you want to go into elementary education or just ed in general.
Hi everyone, my name is Peyton. I am a senior in the education department here at St. Mary's. In terms of why I picked St. Mary's, why I became a teacher, actually one of the biggest reasons why I chose St. Mary's was because of the education department. So I was really drawn to the department here at St. Mary's due to the fact that I've had experience as early as my first year here on campus. I have had 4 field experiences ranging from 2nd grade all the way up to 5th grade. I have seen public school, Catholic school. I'm also in a Spanish immersion school currently, which is really helpful with my minor. And I have grown to be such an independent and strong-willed educator, and I owe that all to our education department.
The final part will include an event specifically hosted for future teachers, which will include local university and college representatives to share all about their programs and provide you with information for when you are ready to apply for college. I am so excited that your teacher has nominated you to take part in this event. We all look forward to working with you.
That was kind of an overview of the program. I don't know where to look. This is kind of weird. So I worked with Dr. Higginson, and I just kind of came on board alongside of her because I teach the education classes at the 10 through 12 building. And so this grant was from the Department of Ed, and it was a 3-day workshop, as they talked about. It was called Passion, Practice, and Pathways, a 3-part introduction to teaching. And the big gist of it is we need to capture good people. We need to find amazing kiddos who have a passion and a desire to go into teaching and really foster that. And so this video was sent to us and we shared it out to our students, and then a lot of us shared it in our own classrooms as well, and told the kids if they were interested, or if we just saw that they would be good candidates, we put their name in. And I believe in the first day we took them to St. Mary's, and that's the day that I was able to participate and go along with them. Both Dr. Higginson and myself were literally blown away at the maturity and just the passion these kids showed. They absolutely showed great. They were great representatives of Elkhart Community Schools. But at that one day, they were able to see a college campus. Many of them came back and said, that was really cool, like walking to different buildings, and they got to eat lunch in a cafeteria where they had all these options and all that stuff. They just loved it. I know, right? So they were able to have a question and answer with different professors, question and answer with also current students, and then they sat in on a class. And in that class, they worked with the college kids about some techniques of how to read a book to children, younger children. In the afternoon, they created their own game, again, working with those college students. And then they pieced that all together for day 2 of the workshop, which they will speak to, I believe, because I was in the building. I wasn't able to go, but they took those skills and they took them to Woodland Elementary and then practiced that with our kiddos. And then day 3 was a field experience, a college, fair, I guess, where they were able to talk with different colleges, what their education, looks like at their schools and things like that. So I brought along with me 2 students that went along with us so that they can speak to their experience. So first up, we have Jessica Warren, who is a senior, followed by Mackenzie Smith, who is a sophomore.
Hi, my name is Jessica Warren, and I am a senior over at Elkhart High School. First thing, I wanted to thank Dr. Higgins and everyone who was planning and organizing this trip because it was just such an amazing opportunity. And then I also want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your night to listen to both me and Mackenzie talk about this program. So for me, my favorite day was, of course, the second. I have known for a long time that I want to work with younger kids and that I want to be a teacher. I have 4 younger siblings, so I just kind of am always surrounded by younger kids, sorry. So especially on that second day, when we really got that hands-on experience, it was amazing because a lot of people who want to go into teaching don't get that until they're already in college and they're in their second year. And so overall, just getting that experience to work with the kids all day was an amazing experience that I want to thank you guys for.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie Smith, and again, I would like to thank all of you guys for letting us experience this and work with the kids and go to a college. But here's the thing, I didn't really want to be a teacher, and I still don't. I actually thought this at first would be a fun way to get out of school and go experience something new. But in all reality, I really did want to experience this. I wanted to be able to work with kids, which is something I've always wanted to do. I actually want to be a social worker or I want to be a counselor. I haven't made my mind up on those two yet. I'm sorry, I don't normally do this. My mind did change about just going off and having something fun to do for a field trip around maybe when we got to the college. I actually found out, hey, this could be fun. This could be something that could really help me figure out where I want to go and help me pick out colleges and stuff like that. The second day that we did was Woodland, and I absolutely loved that. I love working with kids, and just really experiencing that made me feel really good. I got to talk to the social worker there and figure out some more stuff that I need to become one. And then our last day, we had our college fair type of thing, and that really helped me too, because I wasn't sure where I needed to look for colleges to see where I could go or what I'd need to get there. But it turns out that I am on the right track for what I need and where I need to go. So thank you guys again for letting me experience this, and hopefully you guys will let future students experience this as well. Thank you.
So just to close on much talk, this is a grant that goes through this next year as well. We did, these kiddos really dealt with Woodland and the elementary level. This coming fall, we're already working on taking a group of students to Goshen College, who's also gonna do the same exact experience for our kiddos and maybe possibly focusing on some of our secondary education interested kiddos. So it was literally invaluable to our kids. So my hope is that even when a grant runs out like this, that these types of partnerships can happen with local colleges to get these kids hands-on experience, to get on a college campus. Their minds are obviously open, like Mackenzie, who apparently just went to get out of the classroom. Their minds are open to the possibilities out there. So thank you. The second part of this really quick is with Sarah Parcell, who leads our fashion pathway as well. So I'm gonna let her come up and speak. It kind of hooked into my kids too, so.
Okay, so you can just click through this until you get to the video and just let that go while I'm talking. So I teach the fashion pathway in our intro class, the principles of fashions and textiles. We learn about how to sew, whether that's with the machine or hand sewing. We also learn design. And so one of the things that I decided that we could do to support Kara and her pathway, and as well as give back to the community, is make quiet books. So what we did, for those of you who don't know what quiet books are, they are books made out of fabric that give kids something to do that it hopefully keeps them quiet, keeps them busy with their hands, and helps them learn. So we started off the PBL with just an introductory of what the kids in the preschool that we're going to be coming and participating would be learning, whether that was counting, learning their ABCs, fine motor skills, learning to tie their shoes, all of those little things that everyone needs to learn. And then I showed them a few examples of what the different pages could look like, and they ran with it. And they far surpassed my expectations. They did some amazing things that you'll see in some of these up here. Again, they made interactive activities to help kids learn the rainbow, their colors, sorting, shapes, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, their feelings, tying shoes, you name it, they came up with it. Again, they far surpassed my expectations, and they did it all on their own with very little guidance, just a little bit of support on how they could make it interactive. And I have one of my students here, Paige Hagar, and she's gonna tell you what she did for hers.
Hi, I'm Paige Hager, and what I did for my project was trying to show the students how to sort their laundry, because a lot of teenagers now don't really know how to do that. So you would sort it by colors. You would have a little laundry machine, so you could open and close it, so you could try to play with that in a little way. And then you would have little baskets like pink, purple, blue, green, and you would sort it by the colors. It was the yellow one right there. Another one I did was the ABCs, and you would try to put it in order. And not only was this beneficial for the little kids, for their motor skills and how to train their mind, but it was also very beneficial for us on how to train our mind for those little kids as well. And thank you guys.
And then one of the young ladies who is here with Kara also was in the classroom when the kids got them. So I'm going to let Jessica explain what it was like there.
I'm back again. So it was amazing watching these. All of the little kids at the end, they got these gifts, and the quiet books were one of them. And their faces lit up as they were flipping through these pages and just seeing a ton of puzzles that they could do. And it was just something that these kids loved. In fact, the kid that I was working with at this moment, he flipped through the entire book within 10 minutes and was just quickly wanting to do all of them because he just loved it so much. And so it was just something that the kids really wound up loving.
Is there any comments or questions from the audience? Okay. Up next, we have a very special presentation from Human Resources. Leslie, if you want to come up.
Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Leslie Crothers-Wood, and I'm the Assistant Director of Human Resources. Tonight is a really special night for our support staff. This is our chance to recognize our outstanding support staff that we have throughout the district. I'm so excited to announce that this year we had 63 different people nominated for Support Staff of the Year. We had over 103 nominations that were placed. So what they did was they went on to the computer and they did a web form and they told us what this person is doing and what is outstanding. So 103 different submissions were done. And I think that speaks volumes to how truly amazing our staff is and the great people that we have throughout the district. So what we'd like to do is we're going to announce the 4 different categories. We'll do them one at a time. So when you hear your name, go ahead and come up front and get your certificate and then stay up here for us. And then we'll do a round of applause for everyone at the end. So we're going to start off with the district support staff of the year. So our district support staff, these individuals, they're not teachers, they're not administrators, and they don't work in a specific building. They don't work in a specific elementary or a secondary building. They support the whole district. So David Paulson from Building Services. Dwight Rhodes from Tech Services. And Jacob Gabbery from Tech Services. So these are our district distinguished support staff nominees. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, guys. If you want to go ahead and have a seat. The next category was our certified category. So our certified category is for our staff members who are not teachers. They're not eligible for that Teacher of the Year, but they are part of our certified staff. So we had Teresa Harmon from Cleveland Elementary. Eileen Hurd from Munger Elementary. Kimberly Varga from Munger Elementary. Adrian Bashor from Elkhart High School. Heidi Alanik from Elkhart High School. Yvette Cifuentes from Elkhart High School. Lauren Van Goey from Elkhart High School. Teresa Zinich from Woodland Elementary. And Corey Watt from the Career Center. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. So the next category is going to be our elementary support staff. Margaret Schnippel from Beardsley Elementary. Shanna McGee from Mary Beck. Jenny Souter from Mary Beck. Kayla Turpin from Mary Beck. Laura Tucker from Mary Beck. Alexia Smith from Bristol. Jamie Woodfin from Bristol. Aaron Byers from Cleveland Elementary. Stephanie Whitehead from Cleveland Elementary. Sheila Mravik from Cleveland Elementary. Charles Geetson from Mary Daly. Christine Moskowitz from Mary Daly. Cynthia Weaver from Mary Daly. Laura Miller from Eastwood Elementary. Christina Buss from Mary Feeser. Crystal Gale Stump from Mary Feeser. Jessica Schofield from Mary Feeser. Christine Van Zyl from Mary Feeser. Lori Clifford from Mary Feeser. Mary Baker from Hawthorne Early Learning Center. Crystal Shannon from Monger. Jennifer Glover from Monger. Kristen Whitaker from Oslo. Sherry Ann Gard from Oslo. Stacy Maxwell from Oslo. Emily Grant from Pace. Amber Lundgren from Pinewood. Matthew Manley from Pinewood. Joseph from Pride. Ann Henderson. Sierra Green from Roosevelt. Ernie Furland from Woodland. Lisa Rose from Woodland. And Ruth Weldy from Woodland. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, everyone. So the last group is our secondary. Karina Romero from Pierre Moran. Gabriel Filio from Pierre Moran. Heather Bowers from Pierre Moran. Renee Strybey from Pierre Moran. Kathy Enfield from Westside. Lamont Donathan Jr. from Westside. Tammy Zonker from Elkhart High. Matt Washington from Elkhart High. Dana Hunt from the Elkhart Academy. Jamie Bontrager from the Elkhart Academy. Antoinette Schmucker from Career Center. Dalton Bogart from the Career Center. Elsa Verde Zamudio from the Career Center. Ivis Perez from the Career Center. Kim from the Career Center. Lorna Suggs from the Career Center. And Mark Wood from the Career Center. He's my husband and I did not nominate him.
Okay.
Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, everyone.
I'll go like this and throw something in.
So out of all of those nominations, we had a committee that went through and read all of the amazing things that our support staff are doing. And they chose one person from each group or each category. So we'll start with the first category, District Distinguished Support Staff of the Year. So this individual has been with the district for over 2 years. They were nominated for consistently going above and beyond to provide exceptional customer service to everyone that they interact with. When faced with a problem, under pressure, this individual acts quickly and calmly addresses the problem and works until they find a resolution. They have assisted in many different events for parents, sporting events, HR events, guest speakers, and even helping with the broadcasting of this board meeting. We are proud to present this award for District Support Staff of the Year to Jake Gabbery, our AV Coordinator in Tech Services. Come on down, Jake. Go ahead and come up on the stage, Jake. So the next individual was nominated for Certified Distinguished Support Staff of the Year. This individual has been with the district for over 12 years. They were nominated because they inspire and they lead others to always have the best interest of our students in mind. They are a huge and contributing factor in the climate and culture within their building. This individual is the face of the school when it comes to efforts supporting Pride initiatives. They run a store where the students can buy school supplies and things with their Pride bucks. And also bully prevention. They serve as a mentor, not only to the challenging students, but also to those students who might go unseen. They teach students and staff how to recognize bullying and how to stop it. They genuinely care about all of the people, all of the students, everyone with all of their heart. We're proud to recognize Kimberly Varga, who serves as a behavior consultant at Monger Elementary with the Distinguished Certified Support Staff of the Year. The next one is the Elementary Distinguished Support Staff of the Year. This individual has been with the district almost 10 years, and they were nominated because they have dedicated their career to building strong relationships with students, parents, and staff. They teach students that learning and growing is not always easy. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes grit. Their high expectations and tough love show how much they care about the success and growth of the students in their building. Their support for extracurricular activities like basketball, football, and volleyball also illustrate their commitment to providing a well-rounded education for all of our students. We are proud to present to Christina Buss, a special education paraprofessional at Feezer Elementary, with the Elementary Distinguished Support Staff of the Year Award. And last but not least, we have the Secondary Distinguished Support Staff of the Year. This individual has been with the district for over 10 years. They are committed to creating an environment where everyone feels loved and supported. Their strength, integrity, professionalism, compassion, and empathy are unmatched. Their bottom line is pay more attention to the students and their attitudes, and then help them with their academic and personal success in small increments. This person is a great listener and never judges. They are honest and they are always there to help anyone in need. We are proud to present the Secondary Distinguished Support Staff of the Year Award to Jamie Bontrager, a social worker at Elkhart Academy. Let's give them all a huge round of applause. So these four will also be invited to the Teacher of the Year banquet that we are having on May 18th, where they will again be recognized. So thank you for everything that you guys do.
Do you guys want to say anything before we move forward? Anybody?
I just want to say to everybody who's been acknowledged tonight, thank you so much for everything you do for our students. You may not always realize the impact you have, but each and every one of you has an enormous impact. And I'm just so proud to be up here and watch you all be acknowledged for the work that you do every day. And it's not always easy, but it's greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you to all of you and to everyone in your buildings, because it takes a team effort.
We love our support staff, big time. So simple and sweet.
Thank you, guys, and congratulations, everybody. Up next on the agenda are the consent items. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion?
DICOR donated $250 to the boys track and field. Lippert donated $1,000 to the Elk Logics Robotics, and Lippert once again donated 250 more boxes of school supplies to Eastwood Elementary. Thank you to our community partners again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So up next, we have a presentation by our search firm who is conducting the superintendent search. It is BWP, and we have Philip and Steve online from BWP to present an update on the superintendent search.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. We appreciate the opportunity to provide our information tonight. All right.
Are you guys able to turn your cameras on?
We have them on.
We can't see you.
Yes, I can tell you can't. I'm not sure why it's not working. You see a P and an S on there.
I know. We saw Steve earlier. We never saw you, Phil, but we did see Steve.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's Steve. For some reason, my camera, it's on, but it's not coming through for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Phil, you may want to leave and come back in if that works.
I tried that. It didn't help, but that's okay.
Well, we'll just keep it going. We don't want to hold up progress. We can see
No problem.
So that's good.
Steve is the better looking of the two of us anyway, so that's good. My name is Phil Earhart, and I'm a partner with the firm. And Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Steve Griesbach. I'm also a partner with the firm, and we're very excited to be talking to you tonight and sharing the results of our community engagement work with the Elkhart Community Schools. One of the things that we did is that we were working on developing a leadership profile to guide your superintendent search. And we have a series of slides, and so I'm not certain I see that up on the screen yet.
I don't see it yet either, Steve.
So,
Jake, do they have the capability to share? You have to share your screen.
okay. Phil, since they can't see your face, can you share your screen?
I will try to.
And I'll just try to be charming and smiley the whole time. Well, Phil is bringing that up. One of the things that we work towards in our search are a couple things. First of all, we've worked with the board who has asked us to develop and make this search transparent so everyone can see. And part of tonight is sharing with you the information that we received from your community through the surveys, through our focus groups, through our community forums, and through our interviews with the board, and provide you with that information back in some form that is digestible by everyone in your community. What all that information allows us to do is create a leadership profile for your search for the Elkhart Community Schools. And every client we've worked with, the leadership profile maybe sometimes shares some common characteristics, but they're all different in very important ways. For those of you who don't know this, the superintendent leadership profile describes what you're looking for in the ideal candidate, those experiences and skills, those personal qualities that set them apart and really be a good match to your community. The second thing is that the leadership profile isn't just what Steve and Phil think is important or what a board member thinks. It's based on information from focus groups, and we met with over about 20 of them earlier in May, and also open community forums and a stakeholder survey. And so all that information then became data, both qualitative and quantitative, that was used to create a leadership profile. We'll share that leadership profile at the end of tonight's presentation. Why it's so important is that it's used by us and by the board to determine and evaluate candidates to see their match for the school district. And that's really critical as your board works towards selecting a new superintendent. Next slide, please. You did really well in terms of community engagement. We received over 1,240 surveys in English and 41 in Spanish. And that may seem like a small number, but typically in Spanish, but typically that's actually a large number from our experiences in communities with a large Latinx or Hispanic population. We met with over 100 people in focus groups across the district in meeting with staff in a variety of schools and settings, meeting community members both virtually and online and in person, and through board member interviews. And so all of that data is going to be distilled down into a report. Let us tell you what we heard, because one of the things that we did was, when you think about focus group work, it's all about listening. We asked 3 questions of everybody. Then the first question we ask is, what are the strengths of the Elkhart Community Schools? And where I felt we got information, I'll try to elaborate on it. The first thing we heard, and this was the one that we heard from in everywhere and every place we went, and this was the most clearly the one that was on everyone's mind, is one of your strengths is that you have a very diverse student body. People didn't offer an explanation of why that was important and why it was a strength, but I think it's because it represents the real world. The second thing that we heard is that you have committed teachers and staff who care about their students, who are student-focused, who want to make certain that all students have success. A third thing that we heard is that you have a very successful career center that helps launch your students onto pathways into great and productive careers. A fourth strength we heard was that the school community benefits from their partnerships with community groups, both in the business community, faith-based groups, and local government. I remember speaking to some of your staff members at one of your middle schools, and they talked about when they have a problem or a student had a problem and they needed some immediate support. Some of that was financial and some of that was just providing food. The faith-based community stepped up and without question and really helped out in great to support the students in those situations. But like any school community and like any set of schools, you have challenges. And so what we heard was that right now in the Elkhart Community Schools, what we heard in the focus groups was that there's a need for some improved communication, and that would bring everyone together. That's both internal and external, so that's sharing what goes on among the schools and among the staff within the schools, but also then reaching your broader community. In particular, looking at the communication between the district office and the schools, and from the schools back to the district office. We also heard that it's important that Elkhart control the narrative. That means, and what that person meant and what those groups of people meant, because this wasn't just one person saying it, was that we get the good word out about the schools, because too often all people hear are the negative things that go on or the things that don't go as well as we'd like. And so helping to control the narrative is getting the word out about what is really helping and your successes within the school community. The second thing we heard is that you have challenges with staffing and both recruiting and retaining staff. And we hear that in many school districts across the country is there appears to be, and there is, a real teacher shortage, and then a shortage of people to do other jobs, support jobs around the school, whether it be a bus driver or whether it be an aide to students or working in food service. The third thing we heard is that there needs to be some repairing of the reputation and image of the schools, that failed referenda and negativity seem to be what people see in the schools. Going back to, remember, we talked about controlling the narrative, helping people to see beyond that, because too often we're quick to criticize and we forget to listen to the positive things going on in a community and in a school district. Two other things they talked about was looking at consistency in the vision, consistency in how leadership handles things, and what vision there is. And consistency means follow through. It means that when something is supposed to be done, it gets done, but also it's the same across the district. And then also building in some stronger accountability. The final challenge they saw was using your facilities more effectively. whether that, and facilities extended, I heard comments about making more efficient bus routes, but also using your school spaces better. So those were the 5 challenges that rose to the top when we looked at the frequency distribution from all we heard in those focus groups and those public forums and through the interviews with school board members. So over 100 voices participated in that. In terms of what we heard in the qualitative data about your next superintendent, we heard that that visibility and accessibility were really important. You're looking for someone who's seen around the district and known at events, in schools, and also is available for people to tap and listen to. They want someone who's fair and consistent and has a policy focus. That means that there's a series of policies that the school board adopts, and those are the rules for the school district, and those need to be something that are implemented in a strong level. They want to see someone who can build relations. And this goes back to, remember we talked about earlier, some of the strengths and those partnerships. And they want to see those relationships built in the district and within the community. And they need to be on a strong foundation of trust. They also go back to one of the challenges, a person who's a great communicator. And like we said, listening is a part of communication, but making sure that we speak with one message about things so that everyone hears the same thing in different places. The 4th thing they're looking for is a strong leader who can bring some vision to the district about where you can go, who can make good decisions and be a good decision maker, but also not only holds themselves accountable, but also holds those they supervise accountable as well. And the last thing, and accountability, I want to talk to you a bit about that. Accountability doesn't mean off with their heads. It's about developing people and setting expectations that are clear, and then supporting them to meet those expectations. And if they don't, not necessarily giving up on them right away, but looking for another way of doing that. And if they still can't meet it, well, then may have to make some tougher decisions. And the last thing they were looking for is someone with experience as an educator, as a building leader, and in working with diverse communities. So this is all the qualitative data from our listening tour in the district. And Phil is going to share the stakeholder survey, which got some great results and lots of participation. So Phil?
Thank you, Steve. As Steve mentioned before, we had 1,240 English survey responses and 41 Spanish, which is outstanding with that. For our demographics, we had 67% of our residents responded to this for the survey, 46% parents, 21% parents of former students, 49% employees, 22% were not employed by the school district, and 2% were students, and then 4% were volunteers in the schools. The strengths that were identified in the survey included excellent teachers and staff, education options and programs, both the quantity and the quality of those, the technology that's provided, the location of the school district, not just in Indiana, but in the Midwest, and then good school facilities. The challenges that were identified based on the survey were personnel. And as we know, there is right now a real shortage of personnel, both with our certified staff and our support staff. The enrollment decline, which has occurred over time. Third was community relations. And then funding was the next one, coming from the state, not having a funding source that is very secure and predictable. And then the curriculum. Educational options and programs were also offered as needing more of those. For the next superintendent, the survey results indicated that for skills, communication was very important, managerial, public relations, interpersonal skills, financial savvy, and school board relations. Shifting to the personnel traits were integrity and trust, decision maker, being able to solve problems, committed to the schools and to the community, someone who's student and child-centered, someone who can build teams, and is an active listener. The experiences that were identified based on the survey included someone who would be a very expert in strategic planning, instruction, multicultural environment, personnel, classroom teacher experience, and then serving low-income families in both the schools and the community. Next, board, we'd like to shift to the leadership profile, and Steve is going to read the profile verbatim just because we think the wording is very important. Steve?
Thanks, Phil. And as I said before, the leadership profile becomes the tool that the board will use as we did in interviewing candidates and recommending and developing based upon all the input that we had. And ultimately, the board will use that to decide who they're going to hire as the next superintendent for your community. And we want to make sure that everyone in the community knows what they're looking for based upon the information we got from the community. The first thing is that looking for a leader with successful experience leading diverse schools and communities. The second thing is a strong decision maker who is consistent and acts with integrity. I hope you're beginning to see the connection between the information and data we presented earlier and what I'm sharing with you now in the leadership profile. An experienced leader who consistently holds others accountable for their performance. The fourth point is about a strong communicator who listens to others and organizes systems to keep everyone in the Elkhart Community Schools and community on the same page. We like to think that that's getting people to all row in the same direction on the boat. The fifth point is about a relationship builder who can develop trust across the Elkhart Community Schools and establish and maintain strong partnerships with community businesses, organizations, and local government. You have really good ones right now, and they have benefited your students, and you want to maintain those and then even strengthen them as the years go on. The next point is about building a team builder who can recruit and retain staff at all levels of the organization and implement systems to support efforts toward a common vision for excellence. And the last one is an educator who can lead academic performance initiatives and career pathways programming for all students. Now, I want to let you know that when we write a leadership profile, we don't list these in rank order. And so, but they are a distillation of what we heard and what we learned from the survey. And so they do represent in our best, to the best of our knowledge, and the best of our work, what will benefit your community, your community schools in your next leader if you follow the leadership profile. And now Phil is going to finish our presentation by talking about where the search is moving.
Tonight, obviously, we've communicated to the board and to the public the community engagement data report and also the very important leadership profile that Steve just read to you. On May 12th, Steve and I will be there at 8:30 a.m. and we'll be presenting a slate of candidates, and then also we'll be conducting a board workshop on effective interviewing and the best practices for that as well. On May 19 and 20, the board will interview the first round of candidates. On May 22 and 24, the board will interview the finalists. And then in early June, the board will hire the next superintendent. At this point, we'd like to also thank the board, the staff, the students, the parents, and the community who have participated in the variety of options that we had for them to provide input into this very important search process.
We would also like to applaud the board for allowing us this opportunity to present the engagement data and the leadership profile in a public meeting so that it can be shared with the whole community. One of the things we promised is that we would listen to people when we did our work. And one of the things the board has promised your community is they want to listen to you about your next superintendent, and providing the robust engagement, the participation in focus groups and in the survey has provided the board with a lot of information so that they can do their elected job in choosing your next superintendent. So thank you, board, for allowing us this opportunity and for helping to support a process that's transparent in your community.
And finally, we also will provide this PowerPoint and the community survey results so it could be posted on the board too. Again, getting back to the point of making sure we're very public with the whole process.
So that content will be under the superintendent search tab on the district website, on its web page. So that should be up tomorrow, the next day. So thank you.
Does the board have any comments? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? Okay. Thank you so much, Phil and Steve. We appreciate all your hard work and preparation for the interviews. And thank you for spending the evening with us to do the presentation.
Right. We'll see you Friday morning. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, up next on the agenda, under new business, Dr. Tallheimer.
The administration presents proposed revisions to Board Policy 5430 on class rank for your initial consideration. The changes in this policy reflect the move to the Blvd system that was described in a previous session, explaining the move to the tiered system that Lisa Ernsberger shared with you. This is just for initial consideration, will be brought back on the 23rd for final.
Is there any discussion from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay.
Then the next item, Administrative Regulation IKAB, reporting student progress to parents. You'll notice towards the end of that regulation that the language there reflects the change that would be in that policy regarding the Blvd system and the weighted system that would be in place for calculating GPAs.
Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, thank you, Dr. Tallheimer. Dora, do we have any requests to speak? All right, I will call you by name. You don't have to say your address, just say your name, and please be mindful of the 3-minute limit. I don't want to cut you off, but I will, so keep track of the time. Up first, we have Gail. Is Gail here?
Okay. This one, or do I have to go up there?
Either one is okay.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, my name's Gail. I'm here again to let you guys know what's going on. I have more things to say about how things are being handled in transportation by Tony and HR. How the policies have changed based on the person or persons involved. There was an incident on January 31st, 2021 that involved myself and the head mechanic, Chuck Warren. It was early in the morning and he was plowing. Myself and 3 other drivers were walking the parking lot to help move buses so they could plow. I got behind with the others because I dropped my keys. I bent down to get them. Chuck started backing up and hit me. I almost went flying. Tony and HR did not take any action against Chuck. to suspend him or to have him apologize. Tony and HR didn't have me see a doctor or compensate me in any way. As a matter of fact, Tony sent his maid Chuck, a supervisor, who is rude to some drivers and, well, being lazy, sorry, not. But whenever you need Chuck, he is always sitting in his desk. He will give you a lame excuse for him not to get out of his seat or radio the other mechanics over from Kent Street to assist drivers with DEF or other simple issues. Please explain to me how Chuck can get rewarded for almost running me over and get told nothing will be done to compensate me. I am bringing this to the board's attention because Tony seems to be able to do whatever he wants, treating drivers like we are expendable, rewarding staff for bad behavior, and HR always backs him. I do have a recording of it. It was sent to me anonymous, sent by somebody else. And Mr. Tony, his knowledge of this recording, but swept it under the bus. What else is he sweeping up underneath the rugs? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to call the next person, but I just want to remind everybody, if you have specific personnel issues, please do not come with those specific details or say names of students or employees. You can share the situation, but please don't say specific names. I think I'm going to say this name wrong. I apologize in advance. Is it Makia? Makai? Sorry.
So I am here to give a final update about my training. It took a month and some days, but after multiple talks with people over the trainer, it was finally made mandatory for her to train me amongst others, but my process with another school was already in motion and had started by then. So I am not training with Elkhart Community Schools, and I will not be returning for the next year. I am grateful for all the relationships I have built with a few ladies and the director of transportation, and they are the only reason I've stayed this long past my 2-week notice. Thank you.
Christine?
Hello. I have come to the board to bring the board's attention a few items. The unfair pay practices in transportation. I have hired in with 2 other drivers, but they are not counting my years of experience, but they have counted the others, so they're refusing to put me in a higher tier rate. So they're picking favoritisms. And part of the issues that we are having in transportation is the assistance of Tony G to have favoritism and to not take our concerns seriously. We have had some people, the trainer, who will refuse to answer on the radio. She is not training people in a proper manner. We have a secretary that is not providing our pay rates the way they're supposed to be. We don't get paid for the first 5 minutes we work because they use 100th of an hour to figure out our payroll. So we don't start paid until minute 6. And then they round down because they only go out 1 decimal, which means a lot of your drivers are losing a lot of pay over the course of the year. And that's a complaint of a lot of drivers. Part of our issues are that the trainer who has a testing site here in South Bend will get paid to drive to Valparaiso, which is 2 hours away, 2 hours back plus the hour of driving when she could be just going to South Bend. I do know that she has overlooked multiple trainees and let other people go in front of them, even though they've had their permit since like the beginning of March. But our supervisor is refusing to do anything about this. He tells us he's taking care of it and that he's trying to do it, but we in transportation do not feel that he is taking our concerns seriously. The other thing that I'm upset about is I applied for a dispatch position in transportation, and I have many years as a dispatcher working in shipping and receiving, but I've only got 2.5 years of bus driving experience. He wouldn't even have the nerve to tell me he wasn't going to interview me. I showed up for the interview and nobody was there to do the interview. I found out later it's because I did not have 5 years of bus driving experience, which has nothing to do with dispatching. I hope you all have a good evening and thank you for listening.
Okay, I'm probably gonna mess up this name too. The last name is Malone. I'm not even gonna try, because I can't read the writing. I apologize.
Hi, I'm Amicia. I'm the special needs router, so I route any program outside of gen ed. I just came to speak about the routers reached out recently about getting a pay raise because we have attacked so many other duties besides routing. We were also told today that we would be taking on several more duties until we get a new dispatch on top of routing and driving. I do have the letters for all the board members that we wrote concerning our pay rate. I also experience every day just visualizing the separation in our office. Some people are favored over others, and basically I feel like the routers are handed the short end of the stick most of the time. There are a lot of conversations that go on that don't include us. We just get the end result. Whatever's handed to us, we usually aren't pushy on what we get. We take it, we deal with it because it's part of our job. But most of the time our opinions aren't included. We feel that since we are routers and drivers, we should be compensated a little more, and we aren't being heard at all. Any meetings concerning routers are just, they're over our head. We're not included in the meetings. We might get a staff meeting maybe once a week, but the big stuff is just over us. It's like we're not seen basically or heard. So this is the first time I've decided to come because I'm tired of not being heard as a router. Also, just basically, there's a lot of, I would say, segregation within transportation. And it makes it very hard to come to work every day. A lot of people are favored over others, and it makes us not want to do our job. Even though I like my job, I wouldn't give up my job. It just makes it hard every day to come to work. Thank you for listening.
Man, I can't read this one either. The last name is Jeffrey. Thank you. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Jenny Jeffrey. I've been with Elkhart Community School Transportation for over 12 and a half years. I recently became a router, and I love that position. I enjoy it. When I come in on a daily basis, my job consists of answering phones, dispatching, finding what route I'm going to be on that morning. It just numerous of stuff before I actually get to see the route and go out and drive. So it's not an option, it's teamwork. And we're all about the teamwork on getting these kids to school. I really debated coming here tonight because my real issue is it's about being bullied. We are being bullied at our job, and it's from the COO above. I have tried filing a grievance and no one has listened. I was told that my bullying wasn't considered bullying. I personally have been intimidated, publicly humiliated in front of supervisors and directors. I have been stalked about me, what time I come out of a meeting. I feel that we are in a hostile environment, and that coming to work every day, we don't know what today's going to bring because so much more. This says, oh, well, now that we're changing job duties, this person doesn't have to drive, but everyone else has to drive amongst our other duties that we are, upheld to do. I am begging you. I know you don't know me and I don't know you. I am begging you from the bottom of my heart to please look into bullying. Just does not happen at school. You don't have to be a child to get bullied in the workplace. I personally have been attacked. I have been bullied. I'm on medication because of it. I am begging for you guys, each and every one of you, to follow up every bullying that anyone has ever presented as seriously. I'm not going to lie. I know of many others that have also had suicidal thoughts. And I went and got on medication to try to help process on a daily basis of my work environment what I am subject to. If I don't go along with the flow, then I'm the target. And I'm sorry, I know you asked not to say names, Tony G. Nisi, Human Resource, everyone and above that I have went to for being bullied and told that I couldn't use this as bullying. I feel that it is a very serious matter, and I wish that you guys would look into your hearts deeply and think of lives you could be saving. Thank you.
We appreciate everybody who stayed to make comments. Dr. Thalheimer, do you have anything?
I would just like to take the opportunity at this Teacher Appreciation Week to thank all of our educators. And we know that within our classrooms that many people, other people serve the role of teachers besides just our certified teaching staff. So I just voice general thanks to all educators and especially our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week.
Is there anything from the board?
Yeah, I have a comment.
You always sneak in there before I can get the gavel, Doug.
As long as I get there before you do, I'm okay. Since this is a Teachers Appreciation Week, I seen something on Sunday at church that I thought I would never see, and most people never do, was a celebration of a fourth grade teacher, Meta Hubline, celebrating 50 years in the parochial school education, 5 different parishes, and she's been with Trinity Lutheran for 21 years. Quite a role model for our community there, and and she has no intention of stopping. That's interesting. Now, the only person I know that maybe might come close to that might have been Bob Woods, and I think all of you know him. And but anyhow, it was kind of almost a coronation. They compared her to a queen who had served England for over 70 years as their ruler. So just wanted to pass that along to you. Keep up the good work. We appreciate it. Thanks.